Well, hello everyone. Pardon for being about a minute and a half late. Technology's fault, of course, never mind. I hope all is well. I know it's a little bit of an unusual day, Sunday, 8 o'clock at least Eastern, and I hope you all had a great weekend. Maybe you're not seeing a little too much of me, but that probably is debatable. But I hope to make it somewhat engaging, and I think this live will be relatively short. I wanted to give a couple of updates, then talk about the main topic, at least a little bit, a primer, which is reimagining the family office. And some ironies there. I've been reimagining it for 17 years. So I guess that's a theme that will never change. And yes, I see some of you, most of you have seen me in the cowboy hat before. I know lately I've been Mr. Suit and Tie on LinkedIn and YouTube and a lot of my interviews, but I love my cowboy hat. I've had it for a while. I've worn it to my events when I used to be active at Family Office Association. And it kind of fits the persona of my favorite state in the US, the great state of Wyoming, the real cowboy state. No offense to Texas and Oklahoma. I love you all as well, but come on, Wyoming's where it's really at. And if you don't know, now you know, and come on and join me here. So, wanted to give a couple of quick updates. First of all, I'm really kind of getting into being more active, especially on my LinkedIn, my YouTube, and what I call via a program called StreamYard on my lives. I'm also starting a Twitch, which should be up now. You could find me by my name. And boy, I'm getting really modern, including a Rumble. So, my Rumble is actually the same as my Instagram, Angelo Robles Media. Again, Angelo Robles Media. It probably is nothing. It's not even tied into my lives yet. But in the coming weeks, you'll see me be more active on Rumble. Rumble is a platform that you could talk about anything, including hardcore my geopolitics and the impact on family offices and really unique guests that would perhaps be a little bit more challenging to have on some other quote unquote platforms. I might have been expecting one very important text, so pardon me. Okay, that looks all good. I see someone's writing in Spanish. I hate to disappoint. I am half Latino, Caribbean Latino, half Puerto Rican, half Italian. Of course, I belong in Wyoming. Where else? I speak a little bit of Spanish, and I've traveled to Puerto Rico, Mexico, LATAM a gazillion times. I love it. I might even consider a second or third home there. But my language skills, not so good, unfortunately. It's my bad. I have to work on that. But thank you all. But besides what I just said, first of all, if you don't follow me on YouTube, please do. I have two platforms. One is an older, pretty significant platform, very simply, because I was very early in YouTube at Family Office. That's it. It's easy. The other one, many of you know, my newer platform, and you should subscribe to both. It very simply is Family Office TV. So again, yeah, someone's reminding me basically how old I am, my years, quote unquote, in the industry. And it's been a long 17 years, but a fun, and I have a long way to go. I have no interest at all in retiring. I'm going to look like Santa Claus with a big white beard, let alone gray, and I'm going to be in Wyoming in the mountains, and I'm going to be very happily, maybe a little time in St. Bart's. Could you give me that? Could you give me 3 weeks in St. Bart's? Then I'm good. And I'm probably still going to wear the cowboy hat even there. When I wore it to Europe, but safe to say it stood out. But supposedly, I don't know, maybe I like a little bit of attention. So follow me on the YouTube platforms. Follow me on Rumble, which is very new. There's not going to be much new on there for about another week or two. And I know I've been talking about my website has a massive revamp. It's not so good now. I know that. 2 more weeks, likely sooner. AngeloRobles.com is where all my business entities and enterprises are going to be kind of housed under one holding company and umbrella. And I got a lot going on. So I am going to do more lives. And because you don't want to hear the same voice all the time of me, I mean, I do have a pretty good voice, but even I get tired of it. So first of all, a little bit of the week ahead. I have an amazing guest on. I've known him for years. He is a great investor. He's kind of going to be a guest slash co-host. maybe asking me some questions. And in a future series, we'll likely bring in other guests. His name is Ram Alawulia. I hope I pronounced that right. And I've known Ram, it's RAM, for so many years. Power Insights, Wealth, AI, and Crypto. And that dude is smart. And I am also going to challenge him and ask him questions, well, I always do, that are very uncomfortable. That's going to be upwards of a 3-hour live. I like long interviews. This Tuesday at 11 o'clock Eastern. Again, this Tuesday at 11 o'clock Eastern. So that's going to be a series. We don't quite know yet, maybe once a month, maybe more frequently. But I have another one that is going to be with the legendary family office and business advisor, John Messervey. John is great. He's based out of Chicago. That's going to be beginning in September. And that's going to be a live series as well. Part of that will be exclusively for my members or supporters at Family Office TV, but more information on that to follow as my update at angelorobles.com gets lost. Also, I'm looking to do a third series, let alone the interviews that I do at least once or twice a week. I guess I just can't get enough of it. And I need kind of a partner. Do any of you have any ideas? Geopolitics. And again, it does have to tie into geopolitics and family offices and family business. And I like to get really deep and pretty hardcore in geopolitics. Many of you have heard me say before, I will say it again. And I love a lot of my brethren and people in the family office community, but come on, could you stop being so down the middle? Stop playing it so safe. Stop being so vanilla. Show a little bit of your personality as well and have strong opinions about things. Even if people disagree with you, it's okay. I learn from people that disagree with me sometimes. Sometimes they're idiots and I don't learn. I torture myself, but that's okay. So if you have any ideas, and I'm pretty connected in the geopolitical sphere, but I would love to potentially kind of partner up, and maybe I change that every 3 months or so. But I look forward to being really, really, really active. Also, all of you, I'm sure you can't wait to hear that I actually went and saw the Barbie movie. I do have opinions about it. I don't think I'm going to share it in this LinkedIn. I will share it on an Instagram Live and perhaps on a future LinkedIn. And no, in case you're wondering, no, I don't think movies are solely for pure entertainment, or rarely. There's a message behind the movie that someone or a group of people are looking to get out. And I damn well know what that message is in the Barbie movie. I'm going to zip my mouth a little bit. But I don't know, maybe I'll do more movie reviews. Why didn't I go see Oppenheimer? That's a movie that I probably should have saw. Okay, on to, and it's going to be brief, but the topic at hand. Reimagining the family office. So I started to work, well, like 17 years ago, I've been working on this topic. But I started to work more significantly. And for some of the reasons that I noted, why is everyone playing it so safe? Why is everyone just, protect the principal, protect the capital? And in the purpose of protecting the principal and protecting the capital over time through a variety of reasons, it all kind of falls apart anyway. So part of the challenge that many of you who are advisors in the community is, like, we don't tell these super rich people, whatever, 200 million, a billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, like, your idea is stupid. That hire is no good, because we're a little bit afraid. When you're living in abundance, you don't have to worry about that. Like, I got more than enough potential consulting prospects. Damn it. I'd like to hope I'm really, really good at what I do. So if you're going to be honest with people, that's what they appreciate. Don't just kiss their butt. Just because they're a billionaire, they put their pants or their skirt on, the pants one leg at a time. They're no different. So I think what I've done in the masterclass, it's a little embarrassing. It's like 300 PowerPoint slides, just like my interviews are long form. What do you expect? So is my intellectual capital in my masterclasses. Now, no, by the way, please do not email me and say, could I have a copy of your PowerPoint? No, you can't. Even if you're a member, one, I'm still somewhat editing and working on it, but I could give that to you. I could give that to you without me and others of my dream team around the world putting context behind it and making it come to life. The 302 PowerPoint slides has very, very little value. I think often even for more experienced family office people. So who is it for? It's for wealth creators, inheritors, elders, youth, the rising generation, those that work in a family office, even a family business or foundation. And here's a key one. Well, besides those that want to be billionaires, and that's going to be practically everyone. And no, stop lying. Oh, I don't want to be rich. Bullshit. You want to be rich. You just don't want to put yourself out there and let the world know that you have grand goals. So you're aiming like up here when you should be aiming for whatever Alpha Centauri, the next star. Are you all surprised I know that? Like, I know I look like I probably don't know too much, but every now and then I maybe occasionally could drop some completely unrelated to family office knowledge. I promise I'm going to also start to do a better job of looking at some of the chats coming in. Unfortunately, through StreamYard, those of you on LinkedIn sending in a question, it doesn't integrate that question yet. But on my core YouTube, which is a larger platform at Family Office, and I think some others, maybe Facebook and Twitter, it does. So again, if you don't follow me, please go on both of my YouTubes, I guess especially at Family Office for now, but Family Office TV as well, and follow me there. And we also instituted something called Super Chats. Now, probably those of you over 40 have no idea what it is. And yes, of course, I'm one of them as well. But the younger ones know to kind of rise to the top of the line and to be supportive, which I would appreciate, is an opportunity to maybe get your question be shouted out, have me ask it and answer it on screen, or at least give you an opportunity to react with me, maybe with an email or text. And I'm happy to correspond with you. And yes, again, I'm in business. I'm in business with the years that I spent in this industry, the people that I know, and the creative thoughts that I think. And I'm sure sometimes wrong, but I'm going to share them and I'm going to be very opinionated, whether people like it or not. And hopefully I may have learned a thing or two in my many years, really about 25 or 30 and broadly in wealth management and the insurance industry. But again, really dedicated to family offices. Wow. I mean, really, it does go back technically about 17 years. Wow. That is a long time. So among the most common audiences from questions that I get is people that want to be in the family office industry. It is wicked to break into. And no, I'm not a recruiter, but I've helped to mix and match occasionally. Who knows? Maybe there's a business model there somewhere, but I wouldn't say it's directly in my line of sight at the moment. But a successful family office comes down to three things. The first one is always number one, and that's people. The right people in the right seat on the bus. And where did I get that from? If you all don't know Jim Collins and his great work, shame on you. Go to Amazon now and buy his great books. He's incredible. It's a little dated. Maybe some things didn't hold up quite as well, but that is always going to be, well, always. AI will supplant it one day. But for now, people number one, I'm going to now move technology to number two, which includes the impact of AI. Always trust a guy talking about AI with a cowboy hat on, of course. And systems, which is a broad term. And I'm not going to go deep into any of them because that's a masterclass. And the AngeloRobles.com, don't pay attention to what's there now. The new one in about a week or two will be reasonable as an opportunity to engage as a member or a masterclass, possibly even downloadable, probably 8 to 12 hours of video content with me and multiple really, really good thought leaders. But the real value is going to be in person. You all got to come to Jackson Hole. You got to come to Wyoming. Okay, maybe in the winter, I could do Palm Beach or Miami, maybe a little bit of New York in the spring. That's about it, though. So I want you to be dedicated and find a way to get to Jackson Hole. I don't even care if it's one. I will still give you my focus and dedication after what, 2.5 days immersed with me and hopefully your peers. I'm sorry, you're going to walk away starting from here and being way, way higher up. I think I heard who I've interviewed several times, Tony Robbins, say, you're kind of paying me something that maybe you could learn with the 17 years that I put in. Maybe you're smarter than me. Maybe you could do it in 8 or 10. But if I could accelerate that, possibly to 95% of what I know within a very short amount of time and work and dedication on your part, what is that worth? And that, therefore, kind of becomes the magic question. So a big challenge with SFOs is, and I know this is not mathematically an accurate comment, they're not that good. They're average. A problem is, one, they're not quantifiable enough on measurable metrics. God, I guess I love consultants. Peter Drucker, he was quoted a fair amount in my book, Effective Family Office, about 5 years ago. And the more I read Peter Drucker, the more applicable what he says is now more than ever before. So I could do, again, the people part of what I do and the thought leaders that I bring in is really an intensive part of my masterclass program. And I'll do little snippets in something like this or even my podcast where you'll get an idea. But again, being immersed in it in person and being dedicated and really being part of our tribe together, really, you do that once, we're bonded. Like you could reach out to me at any time and I'm going to be of value to you. And you're going to be of value back to me. I have a lot to learn from all of you as well. So a couple of points. I'm going to pull up something just so I have it directly in front of me. Pardon me if my eyes look down. I mean, what's the classic definition? A single family office is an entity created by one family of great wealth with people and resources dedicated internally and exclusively to manage that one family's wealth, to mitigate risk and support generational transfer of wealth, to act as an intergenerational safeguard for the family's collective values, aspirations, heritage, and legacy. Wow, that was pretty good. I mean, that's a collective of great thought leaders like Mark Halsema and others and people that I've known over the years. Again, I learned from a lot of the greats in the industry as well. This comes down to family continuity, representing the ability to sustain. I was interviewed by Heath Goldman for work that he did for a wonderful periodical, New Thinking magazine, I believe. And Heath is great, by the way. That's Heath Goldman. Look him up on LinkedIn, follow him. What I believe I told Heath, as I'm looking at some of my notes, family continuity represents the ability to sustain legacy across multiple generations, ensuring the seamless transfer of wealth, values, and business acumen, a sense of identity, purpose, and unity within the family, providing a strong foundation for future success. Successful SFOs create an environment conducive to family continuity by promoting effective communication, shared decision-making, and intergenerational learning. So back to the point that I brought up earlier, most family offices, they don't know what they don't know. They're comparing themselves kind of to the 12th man on an NBA team. They kind of should be comparing to who are the 10 or the 20 best players, who are the LeBron Jameses. Now you're not going to look so good. And that's okay. That gives you the opportunity to get better. You have benchmarking, you have true best practices, and you have the capability as an individual, as Ray Dalio talks about, to work on your competency. You are not done learning just because you graduated college and you've had some success in finance, legal, accounting, or the family office world. I'm sorry, you're not. You got to continue to learn. What you learned, we have kind of a new world now. The world is different. What you learned even 5 years ago, let alone 20, 30 years ago, yeah, some of it's applicable. History could rhyme, but it doesn't necessarily repeat itself. So your competency always has to be worked on. Identify your blind spots and put your ego aside. You have an opportunity to go from average to good to very good to great to perhaps incredible. Although it's kind of hard as to what quantifies as top 1%. And there are some metrics that I've worked on that could help to some degree as a comparison, depending on a variety of factors, which I won't bore you with the details now. And yes, I'll admit, qualitative, how the family feels, how the decision makers in the family feel about you, even if you're kind of not really that good. Uh, if they love you versus someone who is quantifiably good, but maybe they're not likable. I don't know. They don't communicate well. Yeah, you're probably better off being the first one, but you're really better off if you want to make this a true career. And make no bones about it, many of you have heard my economic and macro discussions. Things are going to get really, really hard, really hard. We're in for a world of hurt. And this is the time for a family office to really step up, to live up to the promise of family continuity, and to go beyond being in the middle and playing it safe and working 9 to 5. That's not going to cut it. So that segues pretty well. The rules of community and global engagement, as well as risk reward, are changing rapidly. The single family office needs to radically change to stay relevant to the needs of the family members and adapt to the evolving needs of the rising generation in the family. I think massive opportunity exists for those families and their family offices that start the shift now versus waiting. Many single family offices will find, like I said, that their current playbook is not optimal. It doesn't mean it may not be okay, but you don't want to be okay. You don't want to be average. You need it to be optimal. I guess I get the question, how many single family offices are there in the world? No one really knows. I don't know. I could extrapolate based on data points I have from my experiences and resources, and I maybe will exclude an embedded in an existing family company family office, which is not the way to do it. There's lots of things that could go wrong there. So probably from purely a single family office structure and maybe at least one non-family member talent, so it's vague, but somewhere between 5 and 10,000. There's ballpark about 3,300 billionaires. I believe the cities sequentially with the most: New York City, Hong Kong, Beijing, Shanghai, and London, if I have that correct. And I think that varies a bit too. How many centa millionaires are there? That's a little bit easier than single family offices to quantify, but even that's not for sure. And by the way, the ballpark about 26,000. And I believe about 265,000 at 30 million or more. Is that liquid or is that potentially tied up? So even I would rather not give you the wrong answer on that one. So billionaires, even in the same country, let alone the complexities of being around the world, will be exposed to the same economic, political, and regulatory developments, among others. However, no billionaire's asset structure, their personal goals and aspirations, their risk tolerances is the same as in others. And the impact on their wealth will be different for each generation. Okay, so we're, about 25 minutes in. I wanted to do this just as a little primer. I'm assuming you're viewing or watching in, or whether it's live or in the future as a recording, because you're interested. Perhaps there's one thing that you walk away from that could be game changing. What I used to say to the members of when I used to be a CEO at Family Office Association, you may pay me and interact with me for the full year, digitally, in person, calling me, and maybe you just walk away with one great idea, whether it's intra-family and business, someone you met that was incredible, an investment opportunity, wealth preservation, family continuity. You get the picture. There's a whole bunch of things. Something incredible from a tax perspective. That's maybe all you get. I made us be good for one thing great over the course of the year. But how much is that worth? Is that worth 1,000 or is that worth millions? It depends on what that one thing is and the actions that you take on it. So, on that note, I'm going to look a little bit into the chat. Uh, and again, unfortunately, and I will do some separate LinkedIn lives where that could be more interactive with my LinkedIn audience. But for now, via my StreamYard platform, you kind of have to be on some of my other platforms, like my @Family Office on YouTube. And technically, once my Family Office TV, which go and subscribe on YouTube, hits a certain number, then I'm allowed to go live and be more interactive with questions and interaction and super chats on there as well. So lots going on. I wanted to keep this relatively short so that in a little bit of the week ahead, and some of you, my Instagram's a little tongue in cheek. It's a little more personal than business. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with showing some personality on your personal side. Uh, I love to wear a suit and tie. I love to talk business, but sometimes it's good to have a little bit more fun as well. So I don't know if I'd quite say tongue in cheek, but yeah, my Barbie movie review, which is actually going to get a little serious, is something that I'm going to, at least for now, only release on IG and maybe in the future, Twitch and Rumble. So again, if you're not familiar with those platforms, they're effectively free. There's lots of unique content. There's way more incredible creators than just me that you could learn from. So, get out there, immerse yourself, reach out to me, send me a chat. We're not getting, someone said, say your name again for Rumble. So I added it, 2 days ago. I haven't promoted it. I have a grand total of like 2 followers, but it's the same as on my IG. It is Angelo Robles Media. So someone already has Angelo Robles. Someone already has Family Office. Damn it. So I'm more than happy. I also own that LLC and believe in media enterprises and companies. So that's all good under one umbrella. Again, Angelo Robles Media. I will be having some guests that I could really only talk to on Rumble, which is a completely, as things should be. I hate cancel culture. I hate censorship. Even if I totally disagree with the other party, they should have the right to have a voice. And I want to interview and talk to people that are different than me, that disagree with me. So I do. Some of you have said you only talk to people from economics that appear to have like 80% of your opinion. I think there's a degree of truth to that. And I want to work on that because I want to crush them, of course, on the other side and prove how wrong they are. So this week, Ram, as I noted, is going to be a great live guest on, all these platforms that I noted at 11 o'clock Eastern. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then the next day, now I got to talk him into it. I think right now he wants to do a traditional interview on Zoom that I record and I put up whatever in 3 weeks on a platform, Jacob Shapiro. So actually, that's an example. Geopolitical discussion. He's on the other side than I am, and that's okay. That probably makes it more exciting. What I sometimes find about people on the other side, though, is they do get a little sensitive. Like, relax. It's okay to raise your voice a little bit, to yell, to disagree. Like, why do you get so entrenched of needing to prove that your point is right that you don't open your mind up to, I don't know, I'm wrong sometimes, maybe like 1% of the time. No, I wish a little more than that. So that may be a little bit of fireworks. I think that's 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Hopefully he won't back out. Jacob, I think they're awesome. Don't back out. Let's do it. He may only give me an hour and a half, although that's going to be enough time. So I'm going to be very, very, very active. And I'm going to start to do programming for my members of SFO Continuity in person beginning after Labor Day, mainly in, well, of course, Jackson Hole, but primarily in New York, then Miami and Palm Beach during the winter. And again, I go back to my master classes are deep. They're really intellectual. They're intense. It's not just me. Even the digital ones that you're going to become more familiar with in, let's call it 2 weeks on myAngeloRobles.com. That could be downloadable, of course. Again, I'm in a for-profit business. I am most definitely a capitalist. I'll put it that way. That probably gives you an opinion of how I would think about the very woke Barbie movie. But it did have Margot Robbie, and it did have some entertainment aspect, and parts of it were witty. I'm not going to deny that. So again, many of you, and outside of only the last week, really haven't heard much of me as I had my transition from Family Office Association and Welcome, of course, Wyoming. I hope you're enjoying some of the content that I'm writing, that I'm outputting in my interviews. You really got to follow on all platforms. And I want you all to be much, much more active with me in the chat feature, which apparently for now means you're probably for free. Go to YouTube at Family Office and Family Office TV and sign up and start to interact. I think there may be a couple of questions that might have came in. I'm just taking a look now. Hello from Canada. Canada is beautiful, awesome. I love Toronto, Montreal, the West Coast. Politically, wow, you guys are an interesting country. But you're probably saying the same about us now, and you would kind of be correct as well. Sometimes I should probably keep my mouth shut. That's why I'm so bifurcating to audiences. And no, before you pigeonhole me as a guy with a cowboy hat and a beard and a couple of tattoos, that must be some sort of extreme. Taper down a little bit. You'll be surprised. I could surprise you on both aisles. I think both aisles are kind of messed up here in the US. Yeah, I probably align more with one than the other. I think you could kind of figure that out by now. We're looking at my content. But I do think things have to get better. And I will make a comment. I'm old. I know it. Some of you are probably going to remind me. But I think we have to work on getting younger people that are running for office and politicians. I mean, come on. This is starting to get a little bit ridiculous now. So that is something that I would like to see more of. The challenge is, I don't know if I agree with many of them, but I'm willing to throw some interesting people in the mix and kind of see what comes of it. Let's see what other questions that we have here. Looking him up now. Thank you. From Atlanta. I do love Atlanta. And by the way, I love Canada as well. Just I don't know if I'm the biggest Trudeau guy. Canada is awesome, of course. Atlanta, I haven't been there in a couple of years, but I do like it. What's your thoughts on Tom Wheelwright? I don't know him. I am more than happy to learn more. And any of you can reach out to me via a DM, whether now you can't. That is a little more complicated on YouTube, I'll admit that. So LinkedIn or an email. And by the way, I'm Angelo at angelorobles.com. Again, Angelo at angelorobles.com. And in mid-August, when my website is completely ready and up and running, and all my platforms, Family Office TV, my membership at SFO Continuity, my work at Billionaire Mastermind, and the masterclasses that I spoke about here, that will all be outlined in just 2 short weeks. So just be a little bit patient. Again, I'm more than happy to get feedback from any of you, including guests that I could talk to and interview. I have lots more that I would love to talk about in the family office world. I think my parting comment is gonna, thank you, Eric, by the way, and I haven't seen you in a long time. I'm just looking at some of the comments, is this is an incredible industry, the family office world. It's incredible. Right now, the resources are, they're not too good. And the families are not holding the SFO to a higher standard. And sometimes the executives, sorry, buddies, sometimes you're resting on your laurels. And sometimes the position has to go to the person who's most qualified, which doesn't necessarily mean the smartest or has the best, whatever, pure talent in tax, legal, and finance. Sometimes you're better off outsourcing that person for a variety of reasons. One, maybe you just can't afford them or her. I'm sorry. There's other factors as well. Maybe they get stale. You're not doing enough things to keep them busy. So I have lots of thoughts on that. Well, what a surprise. I have lots of thoughts from the Barbie movie to a lot of different things. You think especially something I may know a little bit about in the single family office world. But do walk away with that takeaway. The industry is not so good now. I think it's growing. It should get better, but you're going to have to put in the time and education and focus. Again, people are number 1, technology number 2, and broadly what I define as systems number 3. And in future little snippets, I'll go deeper, I promise, into all 3. But make no bones about it, until AI is able to have singularity, which it will one day. I don't know if that one day is in 5 years. What does Kurzweil say? Well, I think he says 2030. Damn, we're in trouble if that's the case. This will be interesting. I have lots of thoughts, and I actually, geez, I keep on referencing it. I think that was a little bit of an underlying tone of the Barbie movie, is who it's aimed to is a lot of them just don't want to have kids anymore. Their belief in family and commitment, religion, and all that, it's just different now than it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. Times are changing. And I think to some degree we have to adapt in terms of, well, I mentioned that from a family office perspective. You can't stay entrenched with what might have worked 20 or 30 years ago. There's a reason why most family offices don't make it past even 10 years into the principal that created them. They could still be mentally fine and living the principles that created an SFO, and they just get disgusted by it within whatever 5 or 10 years, 11 years, and move on. Like something's wrong. And is the proper solution just going to a bank or MFO? It might be for some, but I think there's something more. And that's going to be doing a family office, a single family office. I'm sorry, I'm old school. I'm a single family office centric kind of guy. Doing it right is still the most awesome thing that someone of great wealth could have. And there's just too few of them. I look to change that one at a time. I think you all, what is a good amount to start a family office? Ask retired broker. Great question. There's not a simple answer. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, I think I would have give kind of a weak answer and said 30 to 50 million. And now I look at that and I laugh. Oh, come on, you should at least have 750 million before you even consider starting a true world-class quality single family office. Now, am I a little over the top on that? Maybe. I do agree in the US for tax benefits, structuring, following, you could argue it may not work for some families, but the lender model versus the IRS from 2017 gave a framework that may work for other family offices to get some significant tax benefits that you can't get as an individual, coupled with advancements in outsourcing and technology. I mean, theoretically, yeah, I guess you could have a family office at 50 or 100 million. I just don't know if it's, maybe you have a hardcore virtual family office, but it's more outsourced. But then you got to manage all that. There's not an easy answer. So maybe the answer is, if you're have a million or 10 million or 20 million, damn it, you got to make a lot more money. Let's do it. Let's do it together. Let's collaborate and build the companies and have great exits and become richer. And of course, let's be wonderful citizens to our families, to our communities, to our countries, and to the world. And let's give back to those who are less fortunate and provide value on real education, not the crap a lot of them are learning in school, proper education, especially on business and finance and building companies and entrepreneurship. So those of us that have been more fortunate, I think there's a lot that we could do in terms of giving back. So that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. I'm taking a look. Greetings from Weston. Yes, assuming you mean Weston, Connecticut. That is, well, until Jackson Hole becomes my official, it already is my official business address, but not quite my official personal address yet. So I do love Weston, Connecticut as well. So yes, greetings from Weston, Connecticut. I'm going to have to put Jackson Hole and the great island of St. Bart's ahead now, but Weston is still dear to my heart. So thank you, James. Let's see, any other questions or any super chats that I see? I don't think so. Okay, we covered a lot of ground. Again, I'll see some of you live at 11 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday, where my interview and quasi co-host and him some questions back to me, and I got some questions for him. Kind of hope we don't get banned. Maybe I should save it for Rumble. So some of them I may need to tone down just a little bit. I mean, I am loaded with geopolitical questions that are really, really deep that I promise do circle back to wealth and family offices and the bigger picture. But just some of them, I just may need a little bit of a more open platform where I could talk about them. I mean, I don't mean to be the bad boy of the family office world. It's such a low benchmark because it's become so vanilla, so generic. No one's rocking the boat. Everyone's afraid. And again, everyone's afraid to tell the super rich and billionaires that they're damn wrong in stuff. You know, they're wrong a lot, but they do know how to make money, right? And that's very important, especially if they're good citizens and good family people and giving back. I'm going to take a quick little peek in case there was any more questions, but I think we're looking pretty good. Please tell your friends, cohorts, associates about my platforms. Come into them live, come into YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter, my new Rumble and everything. Each of them I put kind of different content on. So just following one is not necessarily going to give the full breadth of everything that I do. Let's grow this together. Keep an eye on all my new things being rolled out on angelorobles.com coming up shortly. And yes, in terms of chats, ask more questions. Do be more active in super chats, which for now is mainly going to be through my @family office on YouTube. And just ask away. If one of you would have asked me, too late now, I'm not going to look, for my 2-minute more detailed synopsis, of course, of the Barbie movie, I probably would have gave it to you. But that may have to wait for something. Maybe I'll bring it up to Ram during the week, and especially if he saw it. Here's what I did felt. It was not proper for me to comment on the movie where I might have had a preconceived notion going in unless I saw it. So not just read reviews. My eyes had to see it. So that is what is important to me. I think I would have been kind of phony if I'm just making assumptions or reading other people's reviews. If there's one thing I've learned from the super rich, from Michael Saylor to so many others, and even when I tell them his saying to me, the other billionaires, oh, that's great. Think for yourself. What did I say earlier about from Wall Street to Hollywood? There's different factions. There's like a cold civil war going on now. We're going to get into some of that geopolitical discussion. It sounds like Jacob's going to disagree with me on Wednesday at 4:00 Eastern. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Again, hopefully he'll want to do it on live. But think for yourself. Many, including me, many of us, our minds are being dominated by the same people going to the same schools, the same age bracket, the same content. You got to immerse yourself in a variety of people of different cultures, different ages, different varieties, and learn and start to form your own conclusions. And this groupthink, which is unfortunately a common thing in the family office world, is not good. Man, I could kill 45 minutes pretty easy and probably not say a hell of a lot. You all got me in a good mood tonight. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm taking another look at the comments, but I think we are done. Thank you all. Please follow me, be interactive. I look forward to next time. Thank you all so much.